Is the New World Order already here? Or is it coming to fruition? Is it a combination? And if so, what role does Pope Francis have to play in the New World Order?
Well, I think the New World Order is here. I think it's obviously in several steps that it's been taken. Certainly, I saw it on display at the Vatican with the UN, with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which I often call the New World Order Constitution. That's the playbook that they use. What role, for generations, Kennedy, they had no moral voice behind the New World Order. It was strictly these rich globalists who were imposed, and elites who were imposing their will, their tyrannical will, on the peasants, right?
Right.
The same thing with the climate change agenda, which started in the 1970s. First it was global warming, then it was, global cooling, then climate change, then the sustainable development. And what is it now? Some kind of, catastrophic weather events, or what are they? Yes. And so they never had a moral voice. Right. And, Leo DiCaprio didn't do the trick, nor did George Clooney or Al Gore for that matter.
Right.
Certainly George Soros didn't. Along comes Jorge Bergoglio, that quote unquote vicar of Christ. And he has stepped into that role. In fact, I think it was Al Gore said, "Oh my gosh, I turned Catholic because of Pope Francis. He's just."
Did he say that?
Mm-hmm. He makes me want to be a Catholic. Al Gore said that, and so to answer your question, I think it's been underway. Certainly, if you researched it as I have, they've been talking about the New World Order. Of course, Christopher Story posed it as the New Underworld Order, which I think is an excellent way of capturing it. Maybe we should all start talking about it as the New Underworld Order. It's also the need to destroy Catholicism. Catholicism has always been the obstacle to communism, the Great Barrier Reef, if you will, to communism. And so as a result, the work that Francis has done in creating the one world religion, whether that is legitimizing Islam and Lutheranism, demeaning Catholicism, to continue this quote unquote interfaith dialogue, including legitimizing paganism in the person of, or in the, idol of Pachamama.
Yeah.
And so this is what his agenda has been, because the New World Order has to give humanity, a religion. Yeah. But it is a religion of fraternity, humanity, love, peace, utopia on earth. And so that is the role that he has played, and to legitimize, and it's continuing to play out in all sorts, with his global education movement, his Assisi event, his economy of Francesco. All those things are to impose both socialism on an economic order and this one world religion, which is going to supplant all the other great religions of the world. I mean, it is heinous to imagine that Jorge Bergoglio, Pope Francis, is fulfilling that role at a time when we desperately need the church's strong moral voice against communism, against what's happening in the persecution of Christians all over the world, especially in China. It is silent.
Yeah.
And so, that's why he describes the kingdom of the Antichrist is upon us. That's not Francis, but Vigano. That the Vatican is preparing for the kingdom of Lucifer as we speak. These are tough words from Vigano, but when you see, as I have watched these interfaith movements, the Abrahamic Declaration by Pope Francis, with the great religions of the earth. I mean, this is what is going on, but you have to understand. You have to understand the New World Order to recognize the elements that are in place and all the players.
You know, it's interesting. Pope Francis, at the beginning of his pontificate, I think he's a tortured man. I've never met him. I get this feeling from him. I mean, surely he's tortured because of the things that he's doing are sinful. And I mean, that's hard on any man, so especially being the Pope. But he recommended this book called Lord of the World, which I ended up reading, which ironically kind of red-pilled me off the whole Francis thing. I don't know if it was a weird dog whistle, like I need help or something. But in this book, I don't know if you've read it, but for the audience, it's Father Benson. He was a priest, actually, who was working under St. Pius X, so he was quite an amazing priest. And he wrote a sort of an apocalyptic, I think it was supposed to be a satire, but it was quite prophetic. And he describes the end of the world and this sort of Freemasonic religion that everybody has to join. And they actually end up using the Catholic priests to do this liturgy, and it's 4 times a year. It's sort of like the French Revolution cult of the goddess of reason. But anyway, it's interesting how Pope Francis recommended that book for everybody, and it seems to be the playbook that he's doing, which leads me to my final question here before we let you go. Do you think Francis, at this point himself, is controlled by hidden nefarious people or forces in the Vatican, or does he act alone?
Well, I think both, to answer your question. I think there's, certainly the forces of China, the globalist UN, Soros's people are, Jeff Sachs. This is his brain trust, Joe Stiglitz. These are guys who are operating on a regular basis in the Vatican, who actually drafted Vatican documents for Pope Francis. And so I think, there's a lot of moving parts. Obviously, China is the main player at this point. To my, shock, that he would, his bishop from Argentina, Marcello Sarando, would say that China, communist China, is the great implementer of Catholic social doctrine. To praise the donor program, the brutal genocide that's going on in China. I mean, it's shocking to me, and it should be shocking to all Catholics. And all I can say is that it appears that there is a recognition, a growing, albeit slow, a growing recognition that this Pope is not Catholic and is a tool of the New World Order. And thanks be to God, Archbishop Vigano recognizes that. He has a far more sophisticated analysis, understanding, and evidence-based reasons than I do. But just recognizing everything that's happened in the last almost 8 years now, it's a real tragedy.
This year has been, it's been a very strong reminder that we're living in a world with a gaping hole that needs to be filled by the kingship of Christ. Yes. It's at this point, it's the kingship of Christ or it's diabolism. There is no in between. And it's not a coincidence that the American election, and even here in Canada, and in Europe, the question of Catholic always comes up. And these globalist leftist types, for some reason, they still need to be legitimized by the Catholic faith.
Right.
Because the devil knows it's true. And he needs the people. It's this weird reversal, stamp of approval on the apostolic faith. by using it to legitimize the evil people, that they even know that it's real.
That's right.
It really is astonishing. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Liz. This was a really great interview, and we've learned a lot.